she's going to jump on top of you, pull you back up, and make you go through it again until you finally just say, I've had enough.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah. All right. So
I think that sounds like a revenge vote to me.
No, it's not. This is pure truth.
Well, joke's on her. I'm shaving my head right before I get into a fight with her.
This case should never have come to trial.
I don't think it's fair to call my clients frauds. Because one time I turned into a dog and they helped me. Thank you.
Your Honor, we would like to withdraw our plea of not guilty and enter a plea of guilty.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries, of a sham.
If we are to have faith in justice, we need only to believe in ourselves.
And the truth shall set you free!
How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Oh, guilty, but with a real good excuse.
I think the truth will come forth.
You can't handle the truth!
Hello, everybody. It's time for more Law Light. It's brought to you by Foreman Watson Holtry, fwhlegal.com. We are here on a balmy fall afternoon in Owensboro, Kentucky at the high-rise two-story white brick edifice. We are in the conference room studio. It's PJ and Travis.
Yes.
And we are excited to bring you the next episode of Law Light. Lots to get to today, PJ. We've had the election since the last
yes, we have
podcast, which we discussed. Just as a side note, real quick, don't want to spend a lot of time on the elections because there's a lot of nationwide election results that are still pending. Imagine that. We can't get an election right. We live in one of the most advanced technological countries, but we cannot artfully execute an execution.
Right. Well, we can do that.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sure.
can do that. I went to. Did you vote?
Truthfully, no.
Okay, fine.
In my defense, I spent a majority of the day between working when I wasn't working or doing because we had interviews and stuff. I working very diligently to try to get Logan from having to go into the court system.
I know you've been dealing with a lot of that.
Yeah, so that kind of took over, and I'll be honest, I completely forgot.
Well, I'm going to tell you, remember my concern was that we had a local judicial candidate who was one of three that were on the ballot for family court judge.
Yeah.
Who says, hey, I'm out.
I'm outie 5,000.
Well, what about the people that had voted early? You show up to vote, her name is still on the ballot. There is a notice given to voters that if you vote for Julie Halls Gordon, your vote will not count because she has dropped out of the race. So you could still vote for her, but it wouldn't count. They would just count it as a no vote.
That's stupid, though.
Yeah, isn't that dumb? But that's how it was. Her name was still
Okay.
on the ballot because they can't change the ballot
Right.
that late. So there was still an option to vote for them, but it doesn't count. It would drop off. So it just added more. I did not let myself go down that rabbit hole because I was sitting there thinking, I don't understand all this, but okay. I wasn't going to vote for her anyway.
Right.
But,
but you could purposely opt to have a vote that doesn't count?
Yeah, right. You can. The other thing that was interesting, there was multiple write-ins. And
right.
places where you could write in people. I wrote Tyler Johnson in on one, but he didn't win, so he's still with us.
That's unfortunate.
So anyway, that's an update on the election that we talked about last time.
What about the ballots, though, that were in the mail? Did that mean everybody who mailed it just didn't count?
Right.
Okay,
That
so it's what we
answered that
suspected.
question. It just
Yeah.
doesn't count.
Yeah.
But I think that influence, like if those people had the opportunity to vote, you wonder who they would vote for between the two. That race was not close. My thinking is that number would not have swayed the vote.
Right.
In other words, if you were saying, well, since that vote didn't count, would you prefer to vote for one of the other two candidates? Well, the other two candidates, the race really wasn't that close there, so probably wouldn't have affected, which was my concern. In
Right.
a tight race, those people, if they would have known, would they have voted for one of the others? So.
Yeah. I want to meet the person who purposely voted for that individual just so their vote wouldn't count.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Like who? Because then you're wasting your time.
Yeah, I think what you do is if you don't want one of the other two people, you just skip over and go on to the next thing.
Right.
Because, it's like a no vote. So,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Second thing that I wanted to talk about was, you notice I have eyeglasses
I know
today.
she got 4 eyes today.
Yes, and I'm going to have these. These are not prescription glasses. These are pick them up at the store for a few bucks readers. Right. Over the last 3 weeks, I've been dealing with this thing. My wife had PRK surgery, which is a corrective surgery that makes you see better. Okay. It's a lot like, people have heard of LASIK.
Yeah.
It's a lot like LASIK, except that instead of cutting a flap and they flip the flap back and then they do the adjustment on the tip of the eye and then flip the flap back over and it heals, instead of going about it that way, they don't cut a flap. They just basically take the surface, the outer surface of the eye off, and then they do some work, and then they take a healing lens, it's like a contact lens that has no prescription power.
Okay.
And they stick it back on the eye for about 7 days, and then they pull that off, and it accomplishes the same thing.
Is that less evasive?
It takes longer for the eye to heal with PRK because you're putting a foreign substance in the eye to heal it, as opposed to the eye healing itself.
I gotcha. Okay.
But the results of PRK are supposed to be better. So what happens is that Missy's procedure seems to go okay. She has the healing lenses on for a week, and while she had the healing lenses on, she could see enough to work. It wasn't good vision.
Right.
It was like 20/40, but she could see good enough to work. They go back in a week later to take 8 days later to take the healing lenses off. And when they do, she can't see anything. Not black. It's not like it's totally black, but she can't see far away. Everything is like a blur, and up close, nothing. No letters, she can't see. It's been a process, still, even as of today, very little up close reading type vision. She is starting to get some clarity on things far away.
Right.
She can tell that's a stop sign. She can tell that's a traffic signal, and she can see the lights blurry, but she can see it, but nothing up close. Okay. And today is the best day she's had, and still, it's way off. It's terrible.
Man, that sucks. I'm sorry.
The doctor recommended, you may get some cheaters glasses to be able to start to see if you can see anything up close. She has picked up a couple pairs of these cheater glasses, and so last night she was going to have to go to see a doctor, and she was having me fill out the paperwork, and it was tiny, and I just reached over and got her I wear contacts. Okay. I reached over and got her cheaters, and I put them on, and I was like, wow, this really makes up close really nice. It is nice,
Right.
And so I thought, for as many little words that I'm reading on documents at my desk all day long, and I really don't need it for the screens because my screens are so big, on my computer screens, my monitors. But I thought, I'm just going to pick me up a pair of them. And so I've been wearing them all day, trying to get used to them, but it definitely helps.
Can you feel your eyes adjusting as you look through them, though? A few years back, I don't know if you remember, it was probably more than a few, it was probably like 5 years ago, I went to the eye doctor, and they're like, yeah, you need glasses. It's not bad, but you still need glasses. It's that one eye sees better with things further away, and then my other eye sees better with things up close. But whenever I would put the glasses on, it was almost like I could feel my eyes trying to adjust themselves, and it just really bothered me, so I stopped wearing them.
Mine is just, I'm looking out over the top of them like at you. No problem. If I want to read up close, I just switch. I don't really have a problem. I've had a little of a headache today, but I think it's probably because my eyes are like, oh wow, you can really see up close now. So anyway, but I can tell you, I can read that from here easy. Yeah. But it just makes it a lot nicer, So
is Missy freaking out though? I would be. Well, you know me.
It's been rough.
It's
been rough.
I bet.
But I'm just going to try to remain positive. Tomorrow we go to see a doctor. Maybe to get some answers and see, if there's something else that she's been putting all kinds of different drops in them that's been prescribed. So she's fine. But anyway, one little thing I want to talk about, and then we have some fun today.
Oh yeah.
I try to pass along some information, legal knowledge, educational stuff from time to time on the podcast. That's one of the elements of why we do this.
Right.
I'm currently investigating an interesting case. I'm not going to give any of the real details of the case other than to say my client was injured while at, I guess it's an apartment building, kind of a condo that he had rented through Airbnb. So it wasn't like a month-to-month lease or anything. Like it was I'm in town for a weekend. I'm going to use an Airbnb house. Okay. Again, I'm not getting into the details, but he's He's injured, pretty significant injury. He lives over in Indiana, and so I have an Indiana lawyer contact me and say, hey, this happened in Louisville. Would you be willing to take the case? I said, absolutely. He hurt bad. I have never had a case where someone is injured at an Airbnb. And so I did some research about, well, do you have a direct cause of action against Airbnb, or do you still have the cause of action against the owner, and about some of the insurance. So I'm going to just pass this along to people for consumers' sake, a little primer on the law here. Number one, Kentucky has not entertained the case yet and got a reported decision through our court system on whether or not you can have a direct cause of action against Airbnb. Okay, you can have a direct cause of action against the host or the owner of the premises, based upon the same principles that I could have a cause of action against you if something at your house caused me injury. It's fairly fascinating. It's becoming wildly popular in towns that are destination towns for tourists. In doing my reading, I found out like Lexington, Kentucky has thousands of Airbnbs. Thousands.
Oh, wow.
And that's because of the horse industry. People go there and for UK basketball. So, people go to Lexington to go to Keeneland to watch the horses race. They don't want to stay in a hotel. They rent a house, and they're there for 3 or 4 days while they go to the horse track or go catch a ball game or a UK game, make a weekend of it. So in Kentucky, though, we have not had a case run through the system yet where somebody attempted to sue Airbnb for a dangerous condition at the premise. So right now, we know you have a cause of action against the owner, all right? But do you have a cause of action against Airbnb, which would basically you would be saying, look, you're putting this place out as a premises that I can rent. You should do an inspection of it. You should know if it's safe or not, and if it has unsafe conditions not listed on your thing. So far, there's only been a couple of states that have looked at that issue, and they have said no. Airbnb is just an intermediary. They are not responsible for the premise. They are only responsible for listing the rental and for facilitating you doing business with the owner. So so far, there's not a case that has directly put Airbnb on the line for a dangerous condition at one of the premises. But Airbnb does have a $1 million insurance policy that, as a part of me listing my house there, okay, I pay a fee to Airbnb, and as part of what I get back from that fee is I have a $1 million liability policy for someone that claims to be injured, all right?
Okay.
Now, I have found some interesting fact patterns where there were people like on the stair steps walking up to the floor where their Airbnb rental was, and the stairwell collapsed, and they were like really hurt bad, seriously, okay? And so I've seen some of those guys. Now, my person's not hurt that bad, but I mean, they were hurt. Now, it's interesting that this $1 million policy, however, is secondary, which means that the homeowner's policy or the apartment owner's policy is primary. So let's go back to the scenario. I live in a town. I decided I'm not going to sell my house. I'm just going to put it on Airbnb. I move, but my house is there, and I keep an insurance policy on it for fire, all the things that you insure your house for, right?
Yeah.
And in that, I have a liability policy that says if somebody gets hurt at my house and it was because of a dangerous condition that I was in control of, then you get covered up to the extent of your bodily injury. Guess what? That policy has to be totally paid out before you get to Airbnb's policy. A lot of insurance companies, though, are getting savvy, and they're saying, hey, we know people are using their houses for Airbnb, so we're going to put an exclusion in our homeowner's policy that says if somebody makes a claim and you're using your home for hire, basically, as an income producing business, then none of our coverages apply, which then kicks it over to Airbnb. So,
Okay.
So anyhow, So then the question becomes, well, isn't Airbnb soon going to start saying, we want to see a copy of your policy, and we want to make sure you don't have an exclusion there for income producing, and if you do, that's not going to apply. You need to buy the rider that covers income producing, So it's an interesting facet of the law that I had really not given any thought to. I have run into people that are out delivering for DoorDash or for Uber Eats, okay, and they're in a wreck, and their insurance company finds out that they were delivering food for DoorDash or something, and they will not cover the insurance coverage on the car because they're using it for hire. So those cases I've looked at.
Right.
But the Airbnb thing.
So does it kick over to DoorDash at that point, or is the driver just...
The driver screwed.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. So anyhow, I just wanted to, because a lot of times we get asked about to address certain things, hey, what about this? I wanted to throw this out there because, number one, Airbnb is becoming very popular.
Yeah.
And two, so people as consumers think through, hey, one of the questions you can talk to the owner through the Airbnb portal, okay?
Right.
To say, hey, I just want to make sure you have ample insurance, and that kind of thing. And so,
That's really interesting, though.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing, too, and this is completely unrelated to, like, the injury side of things, but one of the thoughts that popped into my head is how has Airbnb negatively affected the housing market? Because instead of people selling their homes, they're now turning it into a situation where people can rent them. So now no one's able to buy a home when they need to buy one. So there's thousands of open homes in like the Lexington area, but none of them are available because they're Airbnb and not homes for purchase.
I don't know the answer to that question, but what I do know is that these homes that Lexington, the market that it has affected is hotels.
Yeah.
Right. And some of these cities where there's thousands and thousands of Airbnb, of course, the cities are looking at, well, shouldn't there be some type of a tax for when you use your home for income?
Yeah.
And beyond just taxing the income, some type of a fee for, so there's a lot of interesting, you can really go down a rabbit hole. I started reading all this and I was like, oh my gosh, but for every idea like that, it generates legal issues.
If people are going to homes where the stairs are collapsing, are people going to homes that are roach infested,
Sure.
or there's bed bugs,
and then
or mold?
Yeah,
they have 1,000 cats,
you
or
never
had.
You never know what you're getting into.
Yikes.
It is a risk. There's a lot of people. You can put, what does it say? You can put lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
I was looking at pictures of some of these Airbnbs, and they're like beautiful, but then you read the reviews on them, and it's like, oh gosh, I would have been fooled too because it really looks nice, So
Right. Photoshop.
Yeah. Anyway, just keep in mind there are legal issues with regards to these Airbnbs, and just be a smart consumer and understand the insurance behind them. So,
or just stay at hotels and sell your house.
Sell your house, stay at hotels,
That's right.
put Airbnb out of business.
We want to thank our sponsor, Airbnb, real quick. Sorry.
About a couple months ago, I had my wisdom teeth out, and I healed and thought I was healing great. And I started noticing this little pain back on my lower side, on my bottom. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, that's maybe I got a popcorn kernel stuck or something, And it kept getting worse and worse and worse. So today, I took the dreaded trip. I hate going to the dentist.
It's just weird. Everybody usually loves going to the dentist.
And I showed you the picture, right? Earlier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I got a piece of bone fragment sticking out of my gum, and they have to surgically remove it on Monday. My dentist looked at that and he goes, haven't you been in pain? Haven't you been in pain? I said, yeah, I'm kind of tough guy,
Apparently.
But
now you said that there's extra pieces of bone in there when they pop the tooth out?
What happens is, you can think about it, the roots sit down into the jawbone. So if this is your jawbone, I'm kind of demonstrating, and you got the root of the tooth here. So when they work on that and pull it out like this, your bone's kind of like this, and what happens is that bone will heal right back into what like it's supposed to be. But if they really pull on it, sometimes little fragments of bone will come unattached to the jawbone, little fragments of it, and kind of just be
like
laying
little
there.
shards.
Shards.
Okay.
And be sitting there, and so one of those little shards, it's not connected to anything, but it's
And it got
under,
like went in between the jawbone and your skin on
yeah,
the inside.
on the inside, right? Because think about it, you're back there, your gum is just hard skin that is protecting a bone, right?
Yeah.
And so that bone, when it fractured off, it just went kind of down in there, and so it's working its way out. Naturally, the body's saying, "Hey, there's a foreign substance in here."
See, you don't have to. It's working its way out anyway.
Yeah,
so.
well, it is already cut that skin. I mean, it's like right on the surface. I can feel it, and it is painful.
Are you taking anything for the pain?
Not yet. No.
So it's not, well, it's because you're a tough guy.
I'm a tough guy, which means
What does that mean?
It means that I would probably be good in an old-fashioned street brawl.
Oh, no.
And you know what? It's been a long time, PJ, and we discussed this
At least a year.
It's been more than a year, I think.
I think so.
Yeah. So just to kind of go back, have a flashback, we one time on the spur of the moment thought, what if our office members here just decided to roll up their sleeves one day and just have just an old-fashioned street brawl out in this is not in a boxing ring. This is not in a MMA type, closed cage match. We're talking about just get out in the parking lot, roll up your sleeves, and throw down.
Knock down, drag out.
And we got some actual people were upset about, they were like, well, I would have, that kind of thing.
Why would you say that? Yeah.
Right. So, and that was the first time, and kudos. Wait, what is it I've been giving you? Nods.
Nods.
Right? Nods to you, because you kind of had some intuition about Jimmy, who is no longer here anymore because he couldn't. He couldn't cut it around here.
Well, because we took him out in the parking lot and fought him, and now he doesn't work for us anymore.
Yeah, right. Well, you had him beat off. You had him beaten early,
right?
In the you're like, I just don't see him to be. He's kind of I think he's a little wimpy guy, and right. That's what you said basically. Mm-hmm. And had him just he was knocked out in the first round.
And for any new listeners and they haven't heard that podcast, I didn't really know Jimmy all that well.
That's right.
I just assumed.
Yeah. Well, the nod to you had it right.
All right. Okay, so here we are again.
Here we are, and here's what we've done to expedite this. We're talking about out in the parking lot or out in an alley. There's a need to fight somebody, and we're going to find out who the king of the hill is for Foreman Watson Holtree. So for our listeners, we did a random draw for the first bracket, okay? Mm-hmm. These are going to be quick. You're just going to say who and why real quick.
Okay.
And we're going to advance these people and see who would be the king of the hill. Now, the last time it came down, I remember, to Chris and Tyler. Remember? And and Tyler won. Right. Tyler won. But because at that time, Chris had just come through a very difficult surgery and was really weak. Without further ado, the first street brawl that we must determine is between John Bennett and Stacy Hagan over in Ohio County.
Wow.
John Bennett and Stacy Hagan. Now, I'm just going to go first. Now, Stacy can be. What's Tyler doing?
He's slowly closing the door. I think we're being too loud for him.
Stacy and John.
So you want me to go first?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Whew. Man, I know Stacy is a wily one, and John is like a little kid. I would have to. I'm just going to go with Stacy. I think Stacy. I'm going to have to go with. I just feel like Stacy would take.
She'd find a way.
Yeah, especially maybe if there's like some alcohol involved. I don't think she would feel the blows.
Right, and she'd just go on.
She would just. Yeah, it would just be over with.
It would
for
probably
John.
take alcohol for her to be willing to do this, but once she did.
Oh yeah, it's over with for John.
Yeah, and John, when we've heard his alcohol stories, he falls down steps and gets black eyes.
He would fall into her fist.
Right. Okay. So I agree with you. Let's advance Stacy Hagan from the Ohio County office advances to round 2.
Sorry, John.
Bye, John.
In and out.
Very interesting matchup for the next.
Okay.
It's Jim Watson and Chris Seyfried.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you something. Jim is strong. Jim still works out.
He works out.
I've played golf with Jim, and he hits the ball a mile. Mm-hmm. And he's, for his age, I think he and Chris are not far from the same age.
Yeah.
Now Chris is a country boy. Jim's a city boy. Think I would probably give the edge to Chris, but I don't think it's as big of a margin as one may think. I think Jim would put up a good fight.
I'm gonna go with you on that. I think Chris has a little bit of the edge because the countryside thing. I have a feeling he'd make jerky out of Jim.
Yeah,
because he makes jerky.
He makes deer jerky.
Yeah, but at the same time, part of me wonders because Jim seems very calm, cool, collected, and reserved. He may be a serial killer.
Ooh, so you think maybe he?
But
does,
I'm gonna say
if Jim got the upper hand, he would take it all the way to death. Is that what you're saying?
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially.
You know, most serial killers don't do it publicly.
Right.
They like do it privately.
So he'd drag him off and
finish.
So
but I think Chris would kick the crap out of him, and then Jim would
come back,
and then
get
suddenly
him
Chris disappears, and we don't, and Jim's back at work the next day.
All right. So, okay.
But I'm with you. Because Chris is taller than Jim, too.
I think he's taller,
and bulkier.
Leverage. Yeah. I think we got him.
Yeah.
I think
Sorry,
Chris
Jim.
gets Jim. Bye, Jim.
You can go hang out with John. He needs somebody to talk to.
All right. Yeah, that's right. John and Jim, losers. All right.
The Jays are out.
Katie Davis against Tyler Johnson.
Wow, that is a...
I happen to know that Katie is really dealing with some like neck and back issues lately.
Yeah.
And she's had surgery on her neck. And
right.
Even though Tyler last year had surgery on his shoulder, a little more than a year, I really think that Tyler would probably handle her because of her current condition.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, too, about Tyler. Like,
he doesn't care about hitting a girl.
No, he does give off those woman beater vibes,
he would
know?
Yeah, I think so.
And
I think
he played sports.
He probably wears wife beaters around the house.
Probably.
He does.
He probably takes those shirts off and then beats the shirts.
Probably beats everything he can beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tyler wins.
Yeah, we'll give it
Bye,
to Tyler.
Katie.
Sorry, Katie.
That's okay, Katie.
I mean, I think Katie's a tough person.
I do too.
But Tyler just he's in shape, and he's has so much pent up anger, and that he's not medicated for.
This next one's funny, and you're gonna have to vote because it involves me.
I'll
vote on yours.
Okay.
So Michaela is a high school student. She is like a part-time filing clerk, receptionist in Ohio County office. Sweet girl. And by a random drawing, I'm the one that's going to have to beat the living crap out of her in the first round. But it's me versus Michaela.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
How real world is this street brawl? Like, if it really happened?
But yeah, why would it be figurative?
Well, okay, so this is where I'm coming from, though. You're very well known in the community, and you have a reputation and whatnot. I almost feel like you wouldn't want to beat up a high school. It'd be one thing if you were beating up another adult.
So are you saying I'd forfeit?
I don't think you would forfeit, but I don't feel like you would beat up a child so you could win a street brawl. Now,
are you trying to get me to admit something here?
No, I think you would want to avoid a lawsuit being an attorney.
Okay, all right. Well,
and I think that Michaela would only win by the fact that she's
a write-in. She'd win as a
like
write-in
a kid,
battle.
right?
I don't know, man.
But if you were to, I mean, I don't think I've seen her. How is she? Is she tall or is she petite?
She's not.
You know,
I mean,
I'm not saying that girls aren't tough.
She's a high school girl.
Biologically, men tend to be stronger, more muscle mass, denser bones.
So I get knocked out for being a nice guy.
Right. That's not the worst thing in the world.
No, it could be worse. It could be worse.
Let's go with Michaela. I'm sorry. But it's only because I don't think you would want to kick the crap out of a high schooler.
I have to join. So is she going to win all the way through, or does she get to fight another woman, and maybe you'll be okay with that?
That's what we got to figure out, isn't it?
All right. Well, let's just move on then. I'm pissed off. Davin plays Amy.
I feel like Amy would destroy Davin.
Okay. All right. Me too. Yeah.
I think, I
actually think you have a subconscious thing about wanting to see women fight, and because you're knocking all the guys out.
Is that how it feels?
That's how
wait till it
feels.
gets to me and a girl.
Well, I have to vote then. All right, so we have Holly Lindsay and we have Kelly Chappell.
Holly and Kelly.
Holly wins that.
Yeah, Holly's gonna win. Kelly's pregnant.
Yeah, no, she's not. She's had her baby.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she
well,
had her
she's
baby.
okay. Well,
So she's recently.
yeah.
I think that was the same thing that happened the last time. She had just had a baby, and I remember I made the comment, just kick her where she had her baby.
Yeah, you're right. If she'd stop having babies, she'd be able to win.
I agree. All right.
But yeah,
sorry,
if she
Kelly.
just had the baby.
Kelly, come join me, John and Jim. All right.
Well,
so-
you know, this tells you I didn't find out about the second birth until about 5 months in, and I didn't even realize until today that she actually had the baby.
Yeah, she did. Monday.
Nobody tells me anything.
Monday. It's Thursday. You don't know about this.
She had
Jeff, next
Monday.
round. Next round. Jeff versus Emma. Emma's the little high school girl that just walked by here a few minutes ago against Jeff. Now, do you think Jeff could? You think Jeff could find the way to just smash her in the face? I think Jeff could just whack, just smack her, just beat her down. I think Jeff just has that edge about him that would say, I don't care who it is, fight her. And he'd beat her up.
I almost wish we had a third person in here. This is tough.
We'll get plenty of editorial comments, I'm sure.
Well, no one can call me a sexist unless it's against men, apparently.
So are you going with, who you going with here?
You know what? I'll follow in suit with you, and I'll say Jeff, because I do know that Jeff is kind of one of those say anything kind of individuals, regardless of where he's at.
All right, we're going to take a break because I got to pee.
All right. That's a great break.
I'm back. Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Your eyes are falling apart. Your bladder can't hold your pee anymore.
Oh, so what are you saying? I get beat up in the street brawl even if I fought a man?
Maybe if you were fighting Jeff.
The next actually involves you.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Yeah, PJ. PJ, you get to fight Kelsey down in Madisonville. Yeah.
I don't have a reputation to uphold.
Well, she's an adult.
That's true.
And I'm telling you, I get the vibe Kelsey could whoop you. Not just you. There's a number of people Kelsey could whoop. She's nice, but she's got an edge.
Right.
She's going to beat you up. So I really think you would, again, like I said last time, because I think I did have to pick you last. You told me a story, and I'm just never going to be able to get over that story about how the bully on the playground was trying to beat you up in middle school. And you started telling jokes, and the next thing you know, you got in your way out of the...
Yeah.
Right? Well, Kelsey's not going to laugh at your joke. She's going to walk up to you and punch you square in the mouth. And then she's going to pull you by your hair and knee you in the face. And then you're going to go down to the ground, and guess what? While you're down, PJ, you maybe think you got time. She's going to jump on top of you, pull you back up, and make you go through it again until you finally just say, I've had enough.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah. All right. So
I think that sounds like a revenge vote to me.
No, it's not. This is pure truth.
Well, joke's on her. I'm shaving my head right before I get into a fight with her.
That's pretty good. All right. Now, that brings up Tara.
All right.
Down here. Tara versus Audra, the newbie.
Ooh.
Boy,
wow.
That's a good one. And since you like watching women fight so much, this is right up your alley, man.
Well, first of all, I like how you call it fighting. Ooh, man, Audra and Tara. See, Audra's brand new, so it's hard. It's going to be kind of hard to determine this, but here's what I think. I think it would be Tara. I think Tara's a scrapper. I won't go into a lot of detail, but she could take abuse. I've seen her relationships, for one.
God.
And
she's gonna whip your ass after this.
No, I'm not saying like she's being abused by her relationships. That's not what I'm saying. Not physically, anyway. But she could take a lot of crap.
You were just digging.
I'm still digging, all right?
Oh, Lord.
But no, seriously, I think she would take Audra. I really do. I mean, Audra I definitely get the go-getter vibe, but I know Tara better. She definitely gives me the fighter vibes. Not saying that Audra's not a fighter, but I don't know her well enough. But from what I know with Tara, I would definitely say
that fight would take a while.
Oh yeah, Audra's not going to go easy. I don't see her going easy.
Who would be the first to cry?
One thing I've noticed about, and this is just I think females in general, but I've noticed that when they get really angry, they cry out of anger.
Oh yeah.
So it's almost one and the same a lot of the times, from like just the stress of the situation.
So even though we think Audra puts up a good fight, she gets beat out by Tara.
Yeah, that's what I think.
And now we're down to our last. It's Kathy versus Heather. Heather is in our Bowling Green office and works for Holly. I'm just going to go on this one. I think it would be a good fight, but I think the youth factor would kick in, and Heather's got a lot more stamina and would probably just, be able
agree.
So
yeah, I agree.
And we'd have to pull her off because I'd hate to see Kathy get beat up bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to advance Heather in that.
Sorry, Kathy.
All right. We're going to go through these really quick, okay? We're just going to say name, okay, because we've kind of assessed them.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we're the second round, we have Stacy fighting Chris Safrin.
I'm going to go with Chris.
Okay, me too. I agree. We have Tyler fighting Michaela, the teenager from Ohio County.
I think Tyler. I'm sorry. I just.
Oh, so Tyler. So
Tyler, look, we already established he's a woman beater. So why is he gonna worry about beating a kid?
A kid that's not 18.
It's not even his kid.
Yeah, right. Okay, so Tyler.
Look, I'm trying to uphold the integrity of your name.
I appreciate it. I really do. Amy.
Tyler's I don't care about.
Amy is fighting Amy versus Holly.
Oof, man, that would be a good one. I feel like they fought last year.
I don't know, but I think
they're both country girls, and
Holly drags deer out of the woods, man. She kills deer. She's just got that.
See, I was almost going to say Holly, but only because Holly is taller.
She is taller. Probably a little stronger.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I get too.
Okay, so we are going to advance on that one, Miss Holly Lindsay. All right. Then we need to go to Jeff, who you advanced, over versus Kelsey. I think Kelsey whips Jeff. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I don't have.
If she's gonna beat me up, she might as well beat up Jeff.
She wins that. Kelsey wins. I tell you, the fight I can't wait to see if it worked out would be Kelsey versus Holly. That would be just a hoopla of just blood and snot and snorl and mud and just that would be great. Let's see. Tara is gonna fight Heather. Tara.
Yeah.
I think Tara.
I think Heather would be too nice.
Yeah, I do too.
She'd get owned.
So now we have an interesting little bye. We're going to give the third bracket a bye during this round, what brings us to Chris versus Tyler. Let me tell you what I think happens here. I think Tyler would go at it a million miles a minute. And if Chris could survive the first storm, wisdom and age and experience kicks in. I think Chris ultimately gets Tyler because Tyler goes out at too quick. And then he's lost all of his energy.
I'm going to agree
Tyler
with you.
I think Chris could just take those blows. And then Tyler's spent, and then it's, he just crushes his throat.
I'm going to have to agree with you. Plus, Tyler just spent the last 2 rounds beating women. He's worn out.
No, he thinks he can walk into this like Chris is going to be like fighting a woman, and it's not, right?
Right. No, I agree.
So Chris wins.
I could see Chris doing that thing where he's holding the top of Tyler's head, and Tyler's just swinging, but can't even reach him.
Right, can't reach him.
Yeah,
could
he's
happen.
like 8 feet tall.
17. Kelsey is now fighting Tara. I know who I think would win that one. I think Tara's had a pretty rough go in this round. I mean, to get to Kelsey. I'm telling you. But I'll leave that one up to you. You're the one that's kind of pitched Tara to this point.
Yeah. I almost feel like Kelsey would do it.
I do too.
I feel like Kelsey would finally.
And then listen, Kelsey was not in this bracket last year.
She's the underdog because of that.
She has made her way through this bracket swiftly. So don't mess with Kelsey. Davin, don't piss her off.
That's right.
All right. So that brings us to Chris fighting Holly.
I almost feel like it would be Holly because Holly has the edge from the age standpoint, And I go back to what you said with, but then again, Chris is also dragging deer too, but he just spent, the last fight going.
He went after Tyler, so he's beat up pretty bad.
Yeah. So
He's
I
gonna
feel
have
like
some sore
Hollywood.
ribs.
Yeah. I feel like Hollywood would
Okay.
come up and surprise everybody.
So we do get the matchup that we wanted.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Holly versus Kelsey for all the marbles, an all-female final.
Right. You know what we ought to do? I know next week we're launching the new bracket. What if we held this off and got opinions from everybody?
Yes.
And announced what everybody collectively believes or thinks for the next podcast.
All right, so we're not announcing it.
No,
we're going to do this real quick, and then we're going to get to Christmas movies next week.
Yep.
Okay.
Before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that is wrong. But we got to do it.
Yeah, we can't. It has to be announced right before.
What was the name of the movie that you said was going to come out that was going to be kind of the whole
it's
Die
called
Hard?
Violent Night. Comes out December 2nd.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, there's another one coming out called Christmas Bloody Christmas. They just released the trailer for it, but it's about these Santa Claus robots that are put in stores where they're recalled because they're defective. Well, one of them becomes operational and starts terrorizing this town. Imagine if the Terminator was a Santa Claus.
Okay, but do you know that there's a new Santa Claus coming out?
Oh, the Disney series? Yeah, it looks awesome.
It does look good, doesn't it?
Oh, have you seen the trailer for A Christmas Story Christmas yet?
No.
The full trailer?
So
it looks so good.
So here's what's interesting.
No one could see my face just then, but it's just like...
Here's what's interesting. We may have 2 or 3 new Christmas movies coming out this year that get included in the bracket next year.
If A Christmas Story Christmas is a fraction as good as just the trailer, it'll be on the list next year.
Okay.
For sure.
And you may have The Violent Night.
Yeah.
And you may have what was the other one? Bloody Christmas.
Christmas Bloody Christmas.
They don't get on this year's because they have not been released.
Nope, they can't.
But next year, possible new blood for the...
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. This has been Done Lite, brought to you by Airbnb. No, brought to you by Foreman Watson Holtree, FWHlegal.com. We are thankful for our clients. If we can ever help you with a legal need, look us up at our website. Until next time, thank you to all our listeners, and God bless.
This case should never have come to trial.
I don't think it's fair to call my clients frauds. Because one time I turned into a dog and they helped me. Thank you.
Your Honor, we would like to withdraw our plea of not guilty and enter a plea of guilty.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery of a sham, of a mockery of a travesty of 2 mockeries of a sham.
If we are to have faith in justice, we need only to believe in ourselves.
And the truth shall set you free!
How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Oh, guilty, but with a real good excuse.
I think the truth will come forth.
You can't handle the truth!